You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan. Listen, the tide is turning. The worm is turning. There's a stirring among the people as if they're just starting to wake up from a long, drugged, nightmarish sleep. Now, I don't know whether it's the sheer volume of accumulated crap that the current administration is laying on us, or whether all our multiple and indefatigable efforts are finally paying off, or whether it's just a mercy from the universe. But I actually think, by George, I think that the population of the United States is finally beginning to have had it. Which is not to say that there isn't a humongous amount of work ahead of us. And it's certainly not to say that we can relax or take for granted anything for one split second, especially the fact that our countryfolk are beginning to act sanely. But for pity's sake, let's be celebratory while we can. Fittingly, my guest for the conversation today is Kristin Cravens-Hutton, who is standing in as those very people. In other words, she's a podcaster, like me, but unlike me, she was not an activist formerly, or BT before Trump. She came to her voice after Trump and online, and she's a perfect example of her newfound power. She shares an Instagram account with her husband, Dave, that started by documenting renovations of their 1910-style home in Detroit. Gradually, as military veterans, which they both are, and vocal allies, they began to use their platform to advocate for common sense issues like feminism, democracy, LGBT, etc., and lots of other good things, and amassed a large following through their advocacy. Indeed, their Instagram account has gained over 1.5 million followers. Fantastic. Acting as a virtual pride arch that focuses on advocacy, particularly after they faced and stood up against harassment. And their online presence grew from a desire to show up as allies, to support the gay community, the feminist community, the immigrant community, and to do so as a straight couple from the Midwest. Now, this is a whole different take from the so-called professional podcasting, and I will be utterly delighted to welcome Kristin to Women's Media Center Live in just a moment after this brief message. Subscribe to this program on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Follow us on Twitter at WMC Live, like our Facebook page at facebook.com/WMC Live, and visit us at WMCLive.com for more information about our show and our guests.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Kristin, welcome to Women's Media Center Live. It's good to have you here.
It's a delight to be here, Robin, an absolute delight.
Well, there's lots of things that I want to ask you about. You are a real person. You should excuse the terminology, but you're the real thing. You're a real person, and you are wildly popular. You are one of 5 matriarchs, I gather, on Instagram. I am on Instagram actually, but I am not as faithful to it as I should be. But I
am. I'm part of a small group of female content creators. We're all big advocates for democracy and feminism and all the good things.
That's wonderful.
And we started calling ourselves the matriarchs because that was what I named the group chat. And we've kept that name for ourselves ever since. But there's actually more than five of us. There's five of us in the group chat, but there's a ton of us across the US that we also refer to as the matriarchs, actually.
This is so
So
great. This is so wonderful. And these are all people who um who came in a sense into their political activism when Trump was elected, yes?
a lot of us did. Some of the group has been politically active for a long time. They have always known where they stood. They have always been outspoken. They've always had these magnificent voices. I was the opposite, Robin. It wasn't until Trump started running this last time that all of a sudden I was like, while I do have the right to remain silent, I no longer have the ability. And the political closet I had been hiding in most of my life, I was done. I had come out of the political closet and I have stayed out ever since. So
Oh, oh.
the only good side for me of President Trump was it helped me find my voice, something I had been kept hidden for a long time.
Oh, this is so wonderful. This is just so great. And you just came out swinging,
I
obviously.
did. I did. I think I had been so politically reserved for so long. I mean, I had voted, I knew where I stood on things,
You had been
but
in the army. You and your husband are both vets, right?
absolutely, we're both United States Army vets, but I had always stayed really quiet, Robin. And then I couldn't anymore. I think there comes a point in some of our lives where you just realize that staying silent costs you more
Hmm.
than, than being vocal.
That's right.
And I had hit that point.
Wow. Wow.
And I
And
think there's a lot of other women like me that
yes.
find themselves in the same situation where they're just like, I'm not staying quiet anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I once wrote something to the effect that there comes a moment of insult
Yeah.
so intense that
Yeah.
the kind of the amulet of madness that she's been wearing around her neck all this time, she just rips it off
Yes.
and she begins to speak her truth. And that from that point on, wow, watch out.
Yeah.
Because it's, and I think it was Muriel Rukeyser who once wrote a poem saying, when one woman speaks the truth about her life, uh, the world splits open.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
true, you know.
that's a beautiful quote. I think that's absolutely right. That's definitely the way it has felt for me.
Mm. And you've done this on every subject. You've done this on war, on Trump, on the stuff that was going down in Minneapolis. You've just done it across the spectrum.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying. Once I came out of the political closet, I just came out full bore. And I think the things that I'd been holding inside, those injustices that I felt that I never thought was appropriate to talk about publicly, I just couldn't stay
No,
silent
no, no,
anymore.
no, no, no. What was it? No sex or politics or anything at dinner. Nothing interesting. You're not supposed to stay at the table.
Yeah, all that stuff that, never talk money, religion, or politics, Robin. That
That's
was the
right.
culture I was raised in. And I think at 56, I realized, or 55, I realized that that did not serve me well. It served other people, but it didn't serve me. And it certainly wasn't serving women.
Yeah.
And I just, now I talk about everything.
Oh.
And it feels liberating and scary and amazing.
Oh, of course it does. Of course it does. Yes, 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 yes. And it feels good too. I mean, it feels
Yeah.
it's pleasurable. It's fun. I've never laughed so much in my life as I have since I've been a feminist. I have never, enjoyed myself in that sense
Absolutely.
so much because we're dealing with real things. You're dealing with life and death issues and with truth and with honesty and so what's not to love?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And all of those circuitous routes that we all take around these subjects and tippy-toe around them cost so much energy.
They do. I don't think I realized that, Robin. I don't realize how much of my human energy got absorbed by staying silent, got wasted by staying silent, or only talking to people within my little bubble where it was safe to have harder conversations. Um, I didn't realize how much it was shrinking me and shrinking my energy until I finally took the lid off and It is truly liberating.
And your husband is right there with you.
Oh my gosh, Robin. He's the best cheerleader in the world.
Oh, how fabulous.
I highly suggest getting someone who is your fiercest advocate and ally and cheerleader as a partner and your best friend. It makes
Oh,
everything better.
oh, that's lovely. That's just wonderful.
It has
Because
been a
where,
joy.
where feminism is concerned, sometimes the men are not necessarily on board, or
Oh, I agree.
but
But Robin, I got really lucky. So when I was
that's good.
I know, right? When I went back to university using the GI Bill, I went to Indiana University at South Bend,
Hmm.
and I knew I wanted to study every liberal arts class I could get my hands on. And I ended up in women and gender studies.
Ah,
And so Dave was right there with me. So I was
ah,
in school, I would come home from class, I would read him everything I was reading in my gender studies class, in my feminist classes. We would go see Eve Ensler's The Vagina Monologues together.
uh-huh.
He would read all of my papers with me, Robin. We would talk about stuff. I'd wake him up in the middle of the night and say, let me read you this passage I just read. This is the best thing. And so we became feminists together. And I think that is the funnest journey,
Well, of
was
course it is.
Dave and I both becoming feminists together.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, what could be more fun than to find that you're viewing the world not through the same lenses, but taking the lenses off for a change and seeing through the bare naked eye.
That's exactly it, Robin.
I mean,
Exactly it.
it's wonderful. This is just fantastic. And you're also reaching a great many people and helping them to voice. You're bringing them to voice, at the same time.
I hope so. I hope other people find their voices as well. I hope that they see themselves in me as someone who had kind of always stayed quiet and realized that we don't have to anymore, and
Mm,
that it's our responsibility to speak up, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us who don't have the ability.
mm.
And I hope other people find their voices and their power.
Well, I think they are. I mean, and and of late, it seems that Trump has overstepped himself once more, and
Oh,
this time
girl.
maybe a little too far with
Ooh,
it with
yes.
it with the latest slush fund. Isn't that
That's so much fun.
isn't it incredible? I mean, it is incredible. It's not only do you get pardoned for beating up cops, and not only do you get praised for it, now you get money for it as well. I mean, it is incredible. It leaves me
Speechless.
yeah, exactly, inarticulate with rage.
Right. And we've seen the grift for forever. It's not like we didn't know the grift wasn't happening. He's always been a grifter. But
Right.
yes, seeing it so much as if they're trying to normalize the grift.
Oh, they are. That's right. That's right. I mean, he doesn't care anymore. I mean, he knows that he doesn't have another two
Absolutely.
years, and so he's letting the chips fall where they may, and he just there's absolutely no concern anymore about what people think or how it looks or none of it. Not a bit of it.
And I
And
think people are seeing it, Robin. I think some people have seen it a long time and just went along with it. But I think other people are like, bridge too far. Um,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so.
I hope so too. I mean, because otherwise, I don't know what this country is, and I don't know who we are.
I think back to all the times we've gone through major unrest in our country, major change.
Mm,
I think, how did the suffragists stay in this fight for so long? I think, how did the people fighting for civil rights stay in this fight for so long?
mm.
How did they not get disgruntled and disheartened and just walk away?
And just despair. I know. I mean, well, the suffrage struggle took 100 years,
Yeah.
and we call it a century of struggle, and civil rights is not nowhere near done. I mean, it's being wheeled back so fast.
Oh my God, yes.
It's
It's
frightening.
awful. Who would have thought we would have been at this point? Who would have thought that we would be at this point right now, Robin? We would be fighting these new battles and old battles again.
I know. I know. Well, I can tell you this: I certainly never thought that once I'd reached my 80s that I would be in this kind of situation, that I would be having to fight for basic 101 things, anymore. I thought we would have, left all that behind us. Not an idyllic society, but we would have made tremendous progress, and we did. We did.
Yeah.
We have made tremendous progress, but they're trying to roll it back as fast as we roll it forward. In fact, faster.
Yeah. it made me realize that the fight never stops.
That's right.
Once you get there, then you have to fight to protect it and to educate the people behind the, people in the generations coming behind you of, why this is important. You don't ever get to take your foot off the gas, do you, Robin?
No.
That's what I've realized.
No, you don't. You don't. It's an intergenerational struggle, and it goes
Truly.
on and on and on and on, and we just keep going, and discover new things all the time. I mean, listen. The other day, I discovered something that I would never have thought of. Who would think such crazy thing? But I discovered that this is a small thing as things go, but it's not. On the other hand, it's not. When you go through a toll booth,
Right.
okay, so there are some men who staff toll booths, who have this, I don't know what to call it. It's a procedure. It's an action. It's a ridiculous thing. On which is that when women drivers drive through a toll booth, they expose themselves.
What?
Yes, yes. And the woman, of course, who's trapped in the driver's seat, and she is just absolutely horrified and doesn't know what to do, and tries to drive on, but she's blocked, because the little, the blocker hasn't raised for her to go through, and he just smiles and ha ha ha, and eventually she flings her money in and he lets her go. Now, this is on the one hand, such a small thing, and on the other hand, such a profoundly obscene and insane thing. Who would think? Who
Right.
would think that there are men who would want, and apparently it's fairly widespread. So apparently, some wonderful women learned about this, and I guess took it online, and so spread the word yourself. And what women are now doing is keeping a cup of hot liquid. You got it? Yep.
I
Right.
do.
Right in their little cup holder, honey. And so when this happens, they just fling it, and there's great yowls behind them, and then they crash through and they drive on, and there's nothing the men can do about it. But it took my breath away, because it was like, well, I never thought of that. I mean, who would think of such a thing? I mean, so apparently they're always dreaming up new things to harass or drive you batty. But then I guess we are too.
I think just in this past election cycle, with the Epstein files, I realize that things are a lot worse. There are some really horrific people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's not like I didn't know that, Robin, but
It brings it home.
I thought the justice system would work in some ways. And here we are still protecting folks. Here we are still fighting to get the unredacted files released. And I think, why don't we believe women? Why aren't we hearing women? Why, even today, just these different forms of raging misogyny are everywhere.
Yeah,
And I'm so in awe of the women who still stand up and show up and find ways to fight back. I'm in awe of all these women. And there's so many men on our team as well. I feel like it's not just women. We have a lot of men who are out there fighting the good fight against this as well. But oh my gosh, Robin, that story is bonkers. Or at least I would have thought it was, until we've spent the past year here, enmeshed in trying to get the Epstein files fully released. And now I believe anything.
Yeah, it's incredible. You wouldn't you wouldn't think of such deviousness. You wouldn't think that people would bend their creativity in such directions.
Oh my God, right?
I mean, why are they spending time thinking of something like that? Oh, I'm in a toll booth and the women drive by. Oh, I got them trapped. Oh, I can expose myself. Well, that's not true. I mean, it is so contrary to normal thought. I mean, to average basic 101. It is amazing. It's amazing. And you realize that it's gone on for a very long time, of course. I mean, since the pre-patriarchal, whatever existed matriarchal.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed.
and women have been fighting it a long time. We have never been happy on the plantation. We've always been fighting like hell.
Yeah.
And so it's a flat out lie to say that we always used to be so happy, or we used to be, we just loved it. They're trying it again now. The latest thing is women. Oh, I guess it was the pseudo attorney general, the guy who is taken over for the woman, and he was saying something about this is what people want. People really want, they wanted this, and they want to know that their money, their taxpayer money, is going to reward people who are patriotic.
Yeah. They can't. I've been gaslit into believing a lot of things, Robin, but they can't gaslight me into believing any of that.
No, no,
No,
no.
no, we don't. We don't want that.
No. Well, the thing is, what are we doing about it, and how are we doing it, and can we do it, and can we pull it off? And I mean, I have my despairing alternate Wednesdays between 3 and 5 or something like that. But I think that we can still. I mean, I think it's very dicey, and it's going to be very close because it's the planet's in trouble itself. But
Oh, indeed. And what do they say? Predators are always their most dangerous right before they get caught. What's that term? There's a phrase. Right
exactly.
before the fall. But I do feel a lot of hope, Robin. I see more and more people who are who the blinders have come off. Like there's a car I've seen that always had a Trump sticker, and now the Trump sticker is gone, and I can see the edge of the sticky outline.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
that's fun.
Like
That's very fun.
I
Yeah.
don't see Trump signs in people's yards anymore. I don't.
Uh-huh.
I feel like the tide is turning, Robin. I feel like the fight mostly now is at the state level, and the
Mm-hmm.
state legislatures is
Yeah,
working their asses off to get more amazing people elected at the state level.
that's
I
right.
think the other part is our responsibility is to try to build a much deeper bench, to get more people to run for office, to support people running for office, to make sure that education is available, whether it's through organizations like Emerge or Run for Something, to
Mm-hmm.
get more
Mm-hmm.
people the training needed to be able to run for office. There are so many positions that go uncontested, Robin, every single election cycle. I feel like we kind of were floating along thinking everything was fine without realizing that we were actually that frog in the boiling water and things were
That's right.
ready to get real ugly.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think there's so many things we can do that we know now that we can do.
And Ellie Smeel always used to say, well, quite wonderfully, she used to say, well, we should run for office. And then when people would say, I don't know anything about running for office, she'd say, well, what is not to know? Look at the people who are in office. Look at the
Right.
men who are holding office. My God, she said, we could put up for in a race, we could put up a pink baboon, and
Right.
it became known as the pink baboon remark. And we could get behind a pink baboon. And so we had little buttons made up with little pink baboons on them, and we were all wearing them for a while. But it's true. I mean, there's their standards are so non-existent,
Yeah.
and then they pretend that they are A, existent, and B, worthy of something, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
And to see through it and say the emperor has no clothes is the task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do have hope. I mean, going back to, I do have despair. I get really frustrated with what's happening with our administration. Just the sheer thought that he thinks it's perfectly fine to have a $1.8 billion slush fund. Any of that just is exhausting. But at the same time, I see more and more people are seeing what we see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think more people will get civically engaged, not just voting at the top of the ticket. I mean, I think more people are going to vote, but I think not just at the top of the ticket. I think more people are realizing the importance of all the races. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and there's a desperation to it as well. I mean,
Truly.
there are people who are realizing, oh, well, I can't put it off any longer. It's this time. I have to do something.
Right.
so that it's a last ditch. You want to call it that, or you want to call it a final try. I don't know what you want to call it, as long as you use it in some way. Young people have been on board for this for some time. Black people have been on board for this for some time. The immigrant communities, more and more and more, there's an accrual of energy that I find, as an old activist, very encouraging. Very encouraging.
I love that. I love
Mm.
hearing you say that. Yeah, when I talk with all of my fellow content creator friends who are in this space, we go through the highs and lows where you're just exhausted by the administration. It feels like we're drinking out of a fire hose. Every morning you wake up to
I
50
know.
pieces of
I
horrible
know.
news.
I know.
And then we get together and we say, wait, what tides have we seen changing? And I'll walk away thinking, yeah,
Yeah.
we're making progress. We're
Yeah.
going to get there.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a very different kind of progress than we thought we would make, and
Yeah.
it's taking different timings, but
Yeah.
it is. I think it is on the way, and you can sense it even in his. I don't know, for example, why people, when everybody gets so excited over Biden's gaffes during the debates and so many other things, how they can hear him week after week, day after minute laying this crap on people, and not think that he's senile, not think that he's around the bend, not think. I mean, I can't. I just, it's beyond me. It is truly beyond me. Except I know I have to oppose it.
Oh, agreed, Robin. Every day. Agreed.
And now tell me something else. When you began to do your internet magic, what you were there was a whole area of Detroit where you are,
Mhm.
that it was reviving itself, and you were doing the house changes in that area, and that's what.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So when Dave and I first moved to Michigan, he started talking about moving to Michigan in 2000, in the Detroit area in 2008. And I said, hell to the no, Robin, because all the news coming out of the Detroit in 2008 was gloom and doom.
Of
It
course,
was
it's a
the mayor.
city. It's over its time and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it was everything. And so by the end of 2010, we had moved here and we'd moved to the suburbs. We hadn't moved to the city yet. And we would come to the city all the time, Robin, and the street lights weren't working. The potholes in the roads were so big, they just put these huge sheets of metal over them.
Mm.
They said, don't stop at stoplights or stop signs in the city for fear of being carjacked.
Oh my God.
And I just had the fear of the city in me. And then Dave and I ended up spending so much time in the city that we fell in love with it.
Hmm.
In love. And then we moved here.
Where were you coming from?
We were coming from the suburbs. So we lived
Ah,
up at 12 Mile
I.
in Royal Oak. And then we moved into the city, and the city starts at 8 Mile.
Mhm.
And every year we saw it get more and more vibrant.
Mm.
We saw more people just loving on this city. It was amazing. And so the fear that I had been sold kind of through the news and media
Sure.
about this idea of what Detroit wasn't my experiences in the city. What I saw was a city full of incredible food and art and culture and
Mm.
music. And the city is thriving. Every year it gets more and it gets better and better and better. And I just live in one of the many historic districts here in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And it has gone through its ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
like so many little neighborhoods in the city.
Sure.
And I have been lucky enough to be one of the people who live here and have just seen it just thrive.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful to be here. It's
How
such a vibrant, magnificent place.
how fabulous! And until and unless precisely such places are invested with people moving there with vision and with creativity, like you and Dave, until that happens, they won't change. But when that happens, they will.
And we've had so many people invest in the city. Detroit has been fabulous for so long. It is such a rich culture and such a rich history.
Mm.
But it had been through the ringer.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
It had gone through some times.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
just come out of the other side of that even more magnificent.
Well, it got hit very hard. It was
It did.
Motor City, and it was,
Yeah.
I mean, all of the stuff. So it got hit by industry, and it got hit, you name it, and it took it.
The riots in 67 did
That's
a
right.
number on the city. But it is, I have to be very clear that I don't think I would have the voice I have today if I was living anywhere else in the world. It is something about being in
Wonderful.
Detroit that really helped me also find my voice. I feel very safe here. I mean, I don't know if I would feel as safe as I do being so politically vocal if I lived somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see MAGA hats in Detroit, Robin.
Ha. Interesting.
Um,
That's
it,
interesting.
I wonder how many people out there have felt embraced by this city like I have. I think that's the power of Detroit, is it
Yeah.
helps you find a little bit of yourself.
Well, I tell you one thing that what I have found out from doing this podcast, which I've done now for quite some time, is that the voiceless, or who people who are thought of as the voiceless, which is to a very large extent female people, um, are breaking through, have broken through, and when they break through in a major way.
Absolutely.
There's a trickle, and then it's a flow, and then it's a boom, it's an avalanche. Um, and there's no stopping them in that sense. And the more you you're able to feed them whatever little you have, and share it, the more they rise to it, and the more they feed you.
Absolutely.
So it's an amazing process, because on my podcast I do books a lot, and we hear all the time people don't read anymore. Well, they do actually.
Mhm.
And they read things that you'd be very surprised at. They read political things. They still read novels. They read artistic things. They respond to political. I was going to say rants and raves, but yes, rants and raves. They and so they rise to it. Whatever is required of them in some way, they are able to do, and more and better. So that there's an enormous amount that can be learned from them. It's not a matter of it all going out one way,
Oh, I
Um,
agree.
and when you have guests on like you, who are real people, as they say, that adds to the community of sharing. That is building itself. I mean, I don't know. It's quite a wonderful process.
It really is. Dave and I try to read every single comment. We don't always get to read all the DMs that come in, the direct messages, but we
Mhm.
read every single comment. And for a long time, we could respond to almost everybody, but the account's gotten a little big and that makes it harder to do. But it is definitely a two-way street. I hope other people feel that way.
I'm
But
sure they do.
Dave and I get a lot of energy from our follower friends.
Mm.
We learn a lot. We get we get educated. They point us in directions of things we need to be reading. Did you see this? Did you hear that? Have you
Mhm.
read this piece in the Atlantic? Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And they're also our cheerleaders when I'm having those blue dog days where I'm really struggling. I can read the comments section
Yep.
and here are all these other people cheering me on and helping lift us up. And I think for all those years when I felt so alone and lonely, when I'd first gotten married, Robin and Dave traveled nonstop.
Mm.
And I think, maybe if I had reached out, I just wish I had the interactions I have now
Of
back
course.
then.
That would have been a very different life. Yes.
Absolutely. But I had to go get some education in general studies and open my eyes a little bit. And then I was able to open the world up a little bit more.
Well, you're able to open the world up quite remarkably and fantastically and superbly. And I hope you'll be a frequent guest on Women's Media Center, and I hope that we will discover a whole new. I don't want to be another matriarch, but I can be
Oh, Robin, I think you already are a matriarch.
I am?
I think, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
you are.
you never know. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm honored to be considered in the category because these are remarkable women. And look, how fantastic is it that it's women who have picked up the cudgels and just are carrying them on and reaching hundreds and hundreds and thousands, millions in your case, of people, and um and for good reason,
Yeah.
with good reason, and enjoying it and enjoying themselves, and the people are enjoying it. So there's no what's not to love, you know. It's a remarkable and wonderful and affirmative process.
It is. And there's one of the things that I love about this group of not only just of the five of us in our matriarch group chat, but in the larger group of all these matriarch women that are content creators, is that there's always collaboration over competition. I don't
Oh
ever
yeah,
feel in competition with any of these women. It
right.
is always collaboration. I can reach out to any of them and say, I need help. Can you look at this content? Can you help me navigate this
Hmm.
scenario? And it's always yes. It is unbelievable,
Yeah,
Robin,
yeah, yeah.
to be in such a culture that is so
Generous.
generous and collaborative.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's paradisical in a strange way because you think, what is this? I don't. Wow.
Right.
um, there's something utterly unique about it, and they always say, "Be the change you want to see," and this is being it.
It is. It's such a different shift from being in such a competitive world
Hmm.
to being something so collaborative. You're like, oh, this is how we bloom and thrive.
That's right. That's right.
This is what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
And it is truly magnificent.
Yeah. It's joy. It's
It
really
is
joy.
joy. It is
Oh.
absolute joy.
Well, on that note, I'm feeling a lot better. I don't know about you, but I feel terrific.
I do too, Robin.
So take care, dear one. And we will be in touch. And you're just fantastic. If the whole internet were like you, we would have no problems whatsoever, would we? No.
Well, you tell me when you want me to point you towards all the ones that are so much better than I will ever be, and I'll make you up a very long list of magnificent people when you want to spend all your time on social media, Robin.
All right. I don't think I dare, but I certainly will keep that in mind. You betcha. And you're just fantastic. You're absolutely wonderful. And they can find you at
Yes. Dave and I are on Instagram and Facebook and Threads, and we're starting YouTube and we're figuring out Substack. And we are at chris.n.dave.
at Crystal and Dave. Okay. Well, hi to Dave, whom I haven't spoken to, but whom I admire. And a special hug to you. All
Thank
right.
you, Robin, and hugs back. And thank you for making my day. It's such a joy to talk to you.
Oh, sweetheart, right back at ya. Okay, take care.
You too. Holler if you need me. Bye, Robin.
We have to take a brief pause here, but I'll be back directly, so don't go away. The Women's Media Center, founded in 2005 by Jane Fonda, Gloria Steinem, and myself, is a progressive, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to make women visible and powerful in media. You can learn more about the WMC at womensmediacenter.com.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution has some very interesting fighting words. The 25th Amendment to the Constitution deals with succession to the presidency and establishes procedures both for filling a vacancy in the office of the Vice President as well as responding to presidential disabilities. It supersedes the ambiguous wording of Article 2, Section 1, Clause 6 of the Constitution, which does not expressly state whether the Vice President becomes President or acting President if the President dies, resigns, is removed from office, or is otherwise unable to discharge the powers of the presidency. The 25th Amendment was adopted on February 10, 1967. The 25th Amendment, proposed by Congress and ratified by the states in the aftermath of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, provides the procedures for replacing the President or Vice President in the event of death, removal, resignation, or incapacitation. The Watergate scandal of the 1970s saw the application of these procedures, first when Gerald Ford replaced Spiro Agnew as Vice President, then when he replaced Richard Nixon as President, and then when Nelson Rockefeller filled the resulting vacancy to become the Vice President. Whenever the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of other such body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. What does that mean exactly? Well, it means that Congress is not the only institution that can remove a president from office between elections. Under the 25th Amendment, a sitting vice president and a majority of the executive branch's cabinet could, on their own, agree to transfer power out of the hands of a sitting president. At that point, those officials would notify Congress, and the vice president would assume the office as acting president. And what if the challenged president wasn't on board with the plan to remove him or her from office? Well, if the president wants to dispute this move, he can, but then it would be up to Congress to settle the matter with a vote. A two-thirds majority in both houses would be necessary to keep the vice president in charge. If that threshold is not reached, the president would regain his powers. Some members of Congress are forming a group to clarify and strengthen the 25th Amendment. We should all read it carefully and at some length. It's a fascinating document. And that's our show for this week. You can follow me on social media at The Robin Morgan. You can check out my blog at robinmorgan.net, and you can find my new novel, Parallax, and my just-out new book of poems, Harvesting Darkness, wherever books are sold. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Views expressed here do not necessarily represent the WMC. Here's the family for Women's Media Center Live. Executive producer, as well as founding and sustaining sponsor, Regina K. Scully. WMC president and co-executive producer for this program, Julie Burton. I'm Robin Morgan, your producer and host. Thank you for being with us. Join us next time on Women's Media Center Live.